Do things for yourself, man. Whether it's starting a business, starting a YouTube channel, or even something as simple playing video games. Do it for yourself. I can't stress this agenda enough because I think the main way people waste their life over time, over a 30, 40, 50, 60 year span is doing things for other people. And I know with societal and familial pressures, it can really feel like you have to do things for other people or you have to live life for anyone but yourself, but truly that's not the case. And even though I'm the person making the video about this topic, I struggle with living for other people myself, you know what I'm saying? Like, even from people you truly care about, like your family, like your friends, loved ones, siblings, whatever. Everything I think you have to take from them has to be taken with a grain of salt.
Because despite them wanting the best for you, there's a high chance they don't even know what the best for you is, and that the only person who can come up with that is you. If your mom is telling you to go to college to, I don't know, become a doctor or become a lawyer just because they make a lot of money and she doesn't know what's the best for you, then she's just going to default to telling you that because they measure success by the amount of money you make. And I think the question you have to ask yourself is, do you measure that the same way? Like for me, when I think of success, I don't just think of, being in a yacht, owning a mansion. I think of more worldly and more sentimental and I guess valuable things like, having a family, having kids, having a wife, having someone who I can come home to that truly loves me, regardless of, if I'm not making as much money as I could be in the job that I hate. Because I think the only way you can achieve, true happiness is by living for yourself. You know what I'm saying? Like I was saying before, if you end up, in a job that doesn't necessarily make a shit ton of money, but you love it, then I think that's 100% more worth it than doing a job that you hate, but you make a shit ton of money. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you want to be a freelancing artist and you make enough money to get by, go do that. Like, because if you enjoy getting out of bed every single day to go do a job, then I think you've won in life, or at least you're already ahead of most people. Because I think where you really don't want to be, at 40, 50 years old is 20 years into a career that you picked because your mom told you to do it and you hate it and you're like, "Oh, what the fuck should I do? Should I waste the rest of my life doing this career that I hate because maybe you're making a decent amount of money or you're already established in that field, or should I switch, to something I like and then I'm, where a 20-year-old would be at 50 because then you're way behind, maybe you have a family already at that point, you have people to depend on you. And I think that's why you have to make your big decisions or at least some of them young because, at 50, if you already have a family depending on you, you can't go back to making 30K a year doing something you like because, if you got three mouths to feed, you, your wife, a child at the very least, then I guess you just can't, operate on such a low income to start off. And I think that risk taking is also a big part of, being young and living for yourself because as a late teenager up to even like your mid, sometimes even late 20s, depending on who you are, you really don't have that much to lose. If you have $5,000 to your name and you want to spend it on starting up a business, you want to spend it on, maybe building an app, you want to spend it on doing whatever, I think you really should go do that just to try new things out. Even if it doesn't succeed, that's not the point of it. I think you have to love the journey in life. You can't just be focused on the end game or the success. You have to focus on the path and learning and figuring things out for yourself. Like if you end up spending $5,000 on starting a business and it fails, there goes your 5,000, but guess what? You're 25. You have years to make that back. You know what I'm saying? Like it's not the end of the world because you lost a decent amount of money because you have years to make it back. And the only resource that you cannot get back in the world truly is time. you're not going to be 25 forever. You're not going to be 20 forever. You're not going to be 30 forever. As you get older, the clock starts ticking more. And like I said before, that's why you gotta, figure some shit out when you're young so that you can set yourself up better when you're older. Or even not figure it out, but just try things, man. Like if you want to become a YouTuber, like I'm trying to do, try it. You know what I'm saying? Try it for a month, try it for 2 months, see if you like it, but don't focus on the success. Just keep going regardless because that will eat at you if you're not succeeding. And, that's just not what it's about. It's about trying things. If you want to paint, if you want to go be an artist, try to get good at art for a couple of months. You know what I'm saying? If you like that, same thing with music, etc. It can literally be anything. Just try stuff. And I know that, free time is very limited, especially as a late teenager, early 20s, but it's not going to get any better, if you have a family and you have a real job when you're 35, you're going to have even less free time than you have now. So I feel like that's why when you're young, you really should try a bunch of different things and, do stuff like that. I think society shames, us young adults or, people in our age bracket for not having shit figured out, you know what I'm saying? For not knowing exactly what you want, for not going to college, etc. Like when you're, anywhere from the ages of 15 to 25, you're most likely not going to have your shit figured out. And I think you have to also realize that you're not behind because you haven't met the love of your life at 25, because you haven't gotten the career that you always wanted at, 20. That doesn't mean you're behind. You're probably where most people are because most people don't even try. Most people start doing something they hate and kind of continue it for the rest of their life, and that's how most people end up having huge regrets and end up truly wasting their life. And I think that if you've, gotten this far into the video, you're probably not like that, or you probably fear wasting your life, as I do and as, other people do. Like, wasting my life is truly one of my biggest fears. I really don't want to be, at 45, like, damn, where did this all go wrong? Or reminiscing on when I was 15, because when I'm 45, I want to be like, wow, you know what I'm saying? The things I did at 25 set me up for where I am now. I'm living comfortably, I have a family by then, have a wife, and I'm raising kids to be great people. I hope that by then I'm not still trying to figure out myself, and I hope that by then I'll be help trying to, figure my kids figure out themselves, if you get what I'm saying. And it doesn't always mean, doing a million things and trying to figure out what you want as a career when you're young. Sometimes you just need those days to, sit back, play COD, you know what I'm saying, play First Light, play any game, you know what I'm saying, read a book, go on a hike. It doesn't always have to be monetization or career related, because sometimes you really just need that day. Maybe you even need that week where you're just like, you know what, I'm gonna do nothing. I'm gonna sit back. I'm gonna chill. I'm gonna go on a hike. I'm gonna go on a walk. I'm gonna, play games. I'm gonna watch YouTube, whatever. And, you just need that week or day to kind of just refresh from the pressures of life, society, family, etc. Like I was saying though, at the end of the story, I think with most people, if you, don't capitalize on when you're young, it's gonna be, what didn't I do with my life? What didn't I do, when I could? Because when you're sitting on your deathbed at 70, 80, 90 years old, you're not going to be like, happy that you conform to society and listen to everybody, because at the end of the day, none of them are even going to be there to care or judge you anymore. But hey, stay true, live for yourself, and peace out.